Three San Diego men are in federal custody, charged with conspiring to provide material support, including money, to a terrorist organization, and conspiring to kill in a foreign country. Somalia-based Al-Shabaab is listed by the U.S. government as a terrorist group with links to al-Qaeda. Federal agents arrested the men this week following a lengthy investigation by the Joint Terrorism Task Force. KPBS investigative reporter Amita Sharma has been following the story, and she joins me now. Amita, who are the men from San Diego who have been charged with supporting al-Shabaab?
Well, the three men are Basili Moaleen, who is a cab driver born in Somalia, but he's a naturalized citizen. The second man is a man by the name of Mohammed Mohamud. He has been an Imam at a City Heights mosque for the past 10 years. The third man is a gentleman by the name of Issa Dore, who used to work for a money exchange or money transfer business called Shidal Express, which operated in San Diego.
I talked about al-Shabaab. What can you tell us about it?
Al-Shabaab is an Islamist insurgent group which controls much of Somalia and is seeking to topple the very weak central government in Somalia. It has been branded a terror group by the U.S. government. It has pledged its allegiance to al-Qaeda. It's also threatened to attack the U.S. It has recruited heavily from the U.S. In terms of fighters. Nobody really believes that it has the means to attack the U.S., but the worry is that al-Qaeda could exploit its support in the U.S. for domestic attacks.
So when we talk about support, we're talking about money raised here in San Diego? What evidence is there that money was actually raised here for al-Shabaab?
The government says, according to FBI intercepts in late 2007, Moleen, the cab driver, had a conversation with a guy by the name of Aiden Iro, who was a military commander in al-Shabaab. And in that conversation, Iro allegedly tells Moleen that it is time to finance the jihad. Subsequent to that conversation, Moleen is allegedly heard on these phone intercepts talking to Dore at the money exchange business, Shidal Express, saying that we need $1 a day per man for the forces. Subsequent to that conversation, Moleen is heard talking to the Imam, Mohamud, telling him to keep back 20 to 30 trusted men at the mosque to contribute money for the forces. And Mohamud is allegedly heard saying that there are several men here who are willing to contribute money. They're also heard talking about the price of rocket-propelled grenades, and according to the records of Shidal Express, the amounts that were discussed among the men are confirmed by the books.
You've been covering this story for a long time, following it, and you did attend the arraignment and then a court hearing this morning. So what happens during those moments in court?
Well, all three men have pleaded innocent. I mean, they've pleaded not guilty. One of the men, Moleen, has forfeited his right at this point to ask for bail. There's going to be a detention hearing next week to see if the other two men qualify for bail.
All right, so it's expected that more people from San Diego may be implicated?
According to government documents, these three men had between 20, possibly 30 co-conspirators. It's not known if these men are here in San Diego or are elsewhere. Some of these men are known to the government at this point. Some of them are not. I can tell you that I spoke to members of the Somali community today, and they are extremely scared. Their fear is that there are going to be more arrests. They believe that these three men are innocent. One of the men, the Imam Mohamud, is quite beloved within the community. He's seen as a leader. One guy who is a college student told me that this guy, this Imam, lured people away from drugs and gangs in the community.
So these people that you've spoken to, what did they say about San Diego connections to al-Shabaab?
Well, you know, they deny that there's any connection to al-Shabaab. al-Shabab. They say that, look, you know, we are refugees, we escaped violence, we came to this country to escape violence, we are peaceful people, we just want to come here and make a good life for our families.
And so what happens next? Will there be a trial? Certainly there's enough publicity about it.
Well, you know, I think that there might be more indictments, and there is this hearing next week in which the government will try to argue that these men should not be let out on bail because they pose a flight risk and a danger to the community.
I think there's one aspect that we haven't really talked about, and that is, was there active recruitment by al-Shabaab in this community?
That is a very good question, Gloria. That is a huge unknown. These are men who have been in this community for a very, very long time. Al-Shabaab did not come into existence until 2006. Their arrival, these three men's arrival in this country, predates that. So the question is, if they are indeed guilty of what is being alleged, how did they get recruited? Who did the recruiting?
Well, I'm sure you'll tell us next time we have you on San Diego Week. Thanks very much, Amita Sharma.
Thank you, Gloria.